He was pretty much the most famous guy in the world.
Unless you know him personally, he is a myth.
John became the biggest celebrity in America when he was conceived.
The boy who would be king.
Hello, I'm John Kennedy.
There was a pressure, you're a Kennedy.
John was just like a little bit more of a free spirit.
His mom was a cultural icon.
Jackie had raised John to be media savvy.
He wanted to maybe break some rules, and then he did.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet George.
He had the foresight to understand this is where the country is going.
He was like the #1 pinup of the world.
Carolyn Bessette.
She made John more attractive, and John made her more attractive.
As a couple, they were sought after.
They don't know the real story.
There are so many people who wanted John to fail.
There was enormous pressure.
They wanted quotes, they wanted scandal.
He would be followed more than I was followed.
Being John Kennedy Jr., there's less room for error.
It's very good to be the son of a legend.
It's complicated.
American Prince, JFK Jr. Premieres Saturday, August 9th on CNN.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Monday night. Guys, my ban for the Facebook has only got 3 more days left, so I'll be unbanned Thursday. And I promise you, for all the stuff that for being banned most of the summer, I'm going to do short little videos, but just on Facebook, on those lives where I get more viewers. Obviously, every time I stream or I use StreamYard, I get less viewers on Facebook. But I promise, we're just around the corner. I'll have my lives back on Mondays and Thursdays. But for now, it's always on Monday night. And like I said, once I get back on, my ban lifted as of Thursday, thanks to Fakebook, then I'll be back up and going so everyone can get their daily news, get the truth anyway, because obviously there's a lot of podcasters out there that don't know what they're doing. And fear mongering and all that good stuff because they think fear sells, and obviously it does sell. For some people it actually does sell, but the good thing is I've been doing this for 5 years, probably longer than anybody except for Alex Jones. I think he's pretty much the only one that has been doing this longer than me, but he does this on a full-time basis. I do this on a need to know basis for truthers, Canadian patriots, American patriots, people that don't have all time to be looking at Facebook and fake news all day. Tune into me. You'll get the common sense. I guess I'll pretty much is what I'm saying. I'm pretty much the only podcaster that I know besides Roland Cerna with the common sense. Roland's the spiritual man that, like myself, but he does the more spiritual. He believes everything's happening for a reason through God. And I do believe the same thing, but on the other end, I take some common sense along with the spiritual thing, the spiritual guide, and I move forward to give people hope, obviously, and because things happen, and they happen for a reason, and we are in that awakening stage, guys. I hate to say it's good to be alive. Even if you have the worst days you can imagine, just remember, it is really good to be alive. This is the first time in mankind history where things are being revealed in front of the human eye and the lies are being exposed with the amount of corruption and evilness. All right, just to let you know, not even Nino, the Rodriguez, knows the real stuff. Last time I listened to Nino, he was packing up and moving to Dubai because, he thought everything was, all the crap was hitting the fan. But obviously, when someone wants to pack up and leave for Dubai, doesn't have too much faith. And he's still out there making money doing podcasts, which still, puzzles me. But anyway, I got a few good things, a lot of information to share. It's usually an hour show, no longer, not much earlier. First things first, let's get down to the nitty gritty, because obviously I can't do lives on Facebook, so I can't share a lot. But guys, with this whole climate change lockdowns, I've been seeing hundreds and hundreds of people doing the whole fear-mongering thing with climate change. This is our lockdowns that I've been telling you. This is our lockdowns that we've been warning you about. No, there's no such thing as climate change lockdown for Pete's sakes. Would you guys please stop it? For once, I am going to agree that the parks and stuff like that, there's a reason why we need to keep people out of the woods, and it's not because they mess around with their mental health and stuff like that. Guys, I think they might have had a hint, all right? Even though they're as dumb as you can believe, these premiers. I think they know that there's something coming, all right? Something coming, and they need to keep the people out of there to stop that something coming, because the woods is a very big area, and if we got thousands of people in the woods every single day, how easy is it to pinpoint who's doing what? Now, someone might say to me and debate with me and say, well, they want us out of the woods for many reasons. Then how are we going to know if they're doing anything? Well, guys, they haven't banned us walking in the woods anytime. This is the first time, and there's still fires that were happening. Okay, still fires were happening. So at this rate, if we see people walking in the woods that look kind of skeptic, Antifa, paid by liberals to go along with this climate change BS, then we're going to know something's up. Then we take things in our own hands. If I ever seen someone lighting something up on purpose, you can guarantee they'll be in the fire, used as lumber, at the same time as the fire. I would wait to put the fire out till these people would suffer, because obviously, they've been paid for by the liberal government, and I am going to specify the liberal government 110% to go along with this climate change BS. But the reason why I'm trying to tell you guys is there's no such thing as a climate change lockdown. All right, please, for the love of God, stop it with the word lockdown. I don't know if you guys know this. For the people that don't know this, but I'm going to give you a little map here of how many fires are happening across Canada. All right, check this out. Look at how many fires are happening. New Brunswick, as of Sunday, my home province. Saturday, we had nothing. Sunday, all of a sudden, we have 10. All right, 10. So for the love of God, look at Manitoba, 159 fires. Ontario, 73. Parks Canada, 13. Saskatchewan, 86. British Columbia, 90. 95 even in the Yukon, 113. Okay? For the love of God, this is not a climate change a lockdown, all right? This is literally telling us there's something happening here, and they want people out of the woods, not because they're trying to put it up on fire. They've already did that with us in the woods. Now, there's a couple things I kind of, the bells start ringing in my head, especially in Nova Scotia, all right? Because I think everyone's seen this, and if you haven't seen this, well, there was what they call a uranium ban back in 1981 that has been lifted in March the 3rd of 2025 for uranium. All right. So the thing I find kind of suspicious, because I don't trust Tim Houston as far as I can throw that beep, beep, beep. Okay. But I don't know if you guys know this, but he put the ban up until October the 15th. All right, October the 15th, that no one can go in the woods. Now, that's kind of suspicious to me. All right, that I can honestly say that's not a lockdown. That's sort of like something suspicious. All right, the 15th. How do you know, Tim Houston, that it's not going to rain for a full week next week, or the week after, or the week after for a full week, right? So that whole ban till the 15th of October, that is like Tim Houston playing his cards and showing his hand at the same time, because he could literally, you know, say, okay, everyone's banned for a week and do that whole, you know, that whole narrative of the COVID BS and say, by the week, and go along with the sun. If the sun's hot this week, we're keeping the ban on, guys. If it's showing hot temperatures next week, the ban stays on. But until October the 15th, ding, 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 the bells are starting to ring. So the only thing that tells me, especially in Nova Scotia, okay, and it's happening in Newfoundland too. And Newfoundland, you can't trust that liberal beep, beep, beep person because obviously he's liberal. So there's something going on in these provinces, and it's all got something to do with maybe they're scouting and they don't want people to see what they're scouting. And we have a lot of good minerals, right? But for example, here's the ban. All right. Yes, the ban of uranium exploration was in Nova Scotia has been lifted. In March 2025, the government of Nova Scotia repealed the Uranium Exploration and Mining Prohibition Act, effective ending the ban that had been in place since 1981. This decision was part of a broader effort to allow for research and development of the province's natural resources. All right. So, you know, as much as I want to, you know, trust the government with the whole forest fire baloney, which, you know, obviously it's not baloney because someone setting them off, obviously. 10 in New Brunswick in less than a day. Come on. Anyway, so, but I do believe, especially in Nova Scotia, because they forwarded, they put the ban until October 15th. That's a little bit suspicious for you Nova Scotians. Obviously, you know, good job on Jeff Everly of going in the woods and taking that fine and then going to court in September and doing something about it, Jeff. Obviously, if you really want to know, buddy, there's all kinds of things, any kind of statutes you want to use. If you want to use the statute, do the statute. Obviously, that's in your passport, which I think that's what he's going to do. Use the statute in our passport saying we're, you know, we can, nothing can be restricted from our free passing throughout Canada, blah, 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 blah. So obviously, you know, good luck on that one. The problem with that, Jeff, here's the problem. What the government can do is that $25,000 fine, even if you don't pay it, they'll put it on your driver's license, my friend. All right. And that's the problem. That's what they do with these fines. They put it on your driver's license. So if you don't pay the fine, they nick your driver's license. You can't drive. You get stopped. You're driving with a suspended license. You get stopped again. You're going to jail. That's how they get away with this. So the only way to get away and get around that is if you claim yourself as a sovereign citizen, and then you can't really use the word citizen, obviously, because that's contrary. But a sovereign person, and you can't use the word I am driving, but I am riding. So that's just a whole big different thing of legality, where you literally got to register yourself as a private person. And I mean, there's just so much legality to it. It's the only way anyone's going to get around it. So anyway, I got a 3-minute video of someone with the climate change lockdowns, blah, blah, blah. It's a 3-minute video. Check it out, and we'll go from there.
Climate lockdowns are officially here. And if you do what I'm doing right now in Nova Scotia, you could be fined $25,000. What do they think is going to happen if you dare to go out and take a hike? This? Canadians have been told over and over again that climate change is what's causing wildfires, but now the blame has been shifted to you directly, and you are the one who needs to be stopped. But guess what? Riding your bike and hiking and fishing doesn't cause wildfires. In fact, more often than not, the cause has been state control. Remember the shoe swap fires in BC? It turned out that the director of wildfire operations, Cliff Chapman, admitted that they started the fires with a controlled ignition.
We did conduct a planned ignition on that fire last Thursday. We did it cautiously. We knew the winds were coming. As those winds were approaching, going through the Caribou Fire Center, there was a continuous line of fuel between the main body of the fire and all of the communities along the North Shuswap. Unfortunately, with the wind that we knew was forecast and that was coming, that fire went above the control line that we burned off from and then swept back into the communities in the North Shuswap.
These are the people who are supposed to have all of this under control. Or what about the recent fires in Lytton that was literally caused by the RCMP?
And the British Columbia RCMP taking responsibility for an out-of-control wildfire burning north of Lytton.
The BC RCMP has revealed that it accidentally sparked the Eisman Creek wildfire currently burning along Highway 12 just north of Lytton.
It does appear that equipment was simply failed. Obviously very unintentional.
Oops, our bad. But forget about that. It's you nature-loving Nova Scotians who need to be stopped at all costs. And speaking of costs, here's Nova Scotia's crime and punishment guide. Drunk driving, $1,000. Assault someone, $5,000. Use your phone while driving, $500. Drive without insurance, $2,000 to $5,000. Shoplifting under $5K, $1,000. Speeding 40 kilometers over the limit, $400. Trespass on private property, $500. Illegal dumping, $50,000 to $5,000. Vandalism, $1,000 to $5,000. Walk, hike, or bike in the woods, $25,000. They even set up a snitch line so that you can rat out your fellow neighbor who might dare to take a nature hike in the woods. Gee, it sure would be a shame if thousands of people started making fake reports, overwhelming their systems, wouldn't it? You could say stuff like, yeah, I just saw a totally flaming prime minister just walking around outside like it's no big deal.
You gotta love that last part with the flaming prime minister. But again, guys, it's literally telling people that this climate change has went bellied up like I told everybody it would. And they're literally pointing the fingers to, libtards, elbows up, irresponsible people, obviously, that are lighting these fires. As you can see, no one knew that the RCMP started that fire. No one knew that it was the parks people that started that other fire. Obviously, that wasn't reported in a lot of the news, right? So, of course, it didn't go along with the climate change baloney. So anyway, I think that will be it for that whole dumpster because speaking of the dumpster fires and stuff like that, here's another one. Here's an article, guys. So back in June, Saskatchewan volunteer firefighter who set 30 fires in a month, sentenced for arson, but he got 18 months of probation and 200 hours of community service. That's right, guys. 30 arsons. No fine. All right, no fine. 18 months of probation, 200 hours of community work. If that's not a good slap in the face, I don't know what is. All right, I don't know what to tell you. But it is what it is. I'm going to go with the government on this one to keep the people out of the woods, because as you can see, there is a lot of crazy people out there. So we'll just leave it as it is. All right. A lot of things are happening, especially local, but let's get to the Supreme Court decision out in BC. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but I am pretty much sick and tired and literally up to here, okay, up to here when it comes to natives and native rights. And this land was ours first, and you people immigrated here, which I'm going to give you the definition of immigrated and literally being a settler. All right. What you need to understand, there's a difference between immigrants and settlers. Settlers come to a land that is undeveloped, and they settle here, and then they flourish. They built economies, they built industries, infrastructure. Okay, that's what settlers do. So when someone says that the natives, this is their land, you're the immigrants, you say, no, we're actually settlers. There's a difference. Now, immigrants, on the other hand, they immigrate to countries that are already developed. Okay, developed. So when anyone tells you that you're an immigrant because the natives were here first, well, I'm going to tell you something. If we didn't settle here, anyone put up your hand or knows some kind of native that's invented something, that knows how to build something, that knows anything about engineering, please tell me. All right, because if it wasn't for the settlers, aka white Europe people like ourselves that came here, people like the natives will still be wearing, wearing bear fur and living in wigwams and teepees and all that stuff, and probably drinking moose piss at this point, because there wouldn't be no alcohol. Either way, we're settlers, not immigrants. Now, the immigrants that are coming here obviously are truly immigrants. So the next time that a push-start Indian from Pakistan or Punjabi tells you you're an immigrant, also the natives were here first, you either punch him in the head, slap him in the face, and say, no, you piece of garbage. We are settlers. You're the immigrant that comes here because you immigrated to our country, all right, which we're the ones that literally built it, all right? The same like we built your India back in the day, the same like we built everything else in this entire world. That's what us settlers did. So that stops that. So there's a ruling that came out in British Columbia, New Richmond, to be precise. And the Supreme Court, aka the most corrupted judges in Canada, which, especially, and this one's a female, which again, that's a whole different subject to have a female in the Supreme Court. I don't want to get the ladies mad that follow me, but we'll just leave it to that. A female judge in the Supreme Court ruled that that land, 800 acres, are to be given back to the tribe, to this tribe, which I'm going to show you guys right here. I don't even want to pronounce the name. Cowichan Tribe's Aboriginal title, over 800 acres, was given back ownership because the Justice Barbara Young, after 513-day trial, the longest in history, relies saying that it was invalid, defective, invalid. So the deal that the government made with these natives back in the day in the 1800s was effective and invalid. All right. So I'm not going to tell you that the government, and well, I hate to use the word government, that the taxpayers have been given these people almost over $1.2 billion for this land of 800 acres in the past 100 and something years. 1.2 billion, not million, billion dollars. Now, even though they got all that money to them, that's like, thank you. Now go fudge yourself. We have our land back. That money didn't mean anything. Guys, I think they're doing this on purpose to make us hate the natives even more than what we hate them now. All right. They want to be treated the same, but they don't want to pay tax. They want to be treated the same, but they don't want conservation of our wildlife. Now, this chief in particular, which I don't have the video because I really don't care, went on and said, we need to fish in the Salmon Arm River to live off because it's our ancestors that did this in the past. Well, F your ancestors in history, all right? There's grocery stores now. You don't need to be out killing squirrels and hunting beavers for food. There's Sobeys, there's IGAs, there's co-ops, there's, even Walmart sells food today. And on top of that, when you overfish in the Salmon Arm, you're taking all the trout and you're taking all the, what else would be there? Trout and salmon. And obviously, when you guys overfish, you don't believe in conservation, obviously, because you guys do not care. You say you're for the, nature, but you overkill when it comes to everything, and you don't think about the future, which you guys think you do. All right, that's just a common sense question because I see it all. And lobster fishing down here in New Brunswick, how they set traps out. The whole point is conservation is so they fish the lobster, everything out there in the sea can literally reduplicate, but you natives like to think you know it all when it comes to nature. And again, I say, here's the worst thing about that land grab, guys, is there's 110 houses there. There's all kinds of businesses there, all kinds of business, even Amazon. So what's going to happen now is the people that have the houses on that land, that own that land, because they paid for land land tax is they're going to have to pay this Kowegian tribe land tax for every year, and everybody else. So again, the natives get what they want again. For the people that cry wolf when it comes to, oh, the natives, they deserve this and they don't get clean drinking water. Well, I'm gonna explain something to you about the one native reserve specifically down here in New Brunswick. They were given a $1.5 million, sorry, not billion, $1.5 million to build a reverse osmosis machine on the reserve just down here in Bathurst, New Brunswick. They have on the reserve one of the best technological water system in the entire world. That's, guys, I went there, all right, to try to sell them reverse osmosis machines, which they already had a reverse osmosis machine to run through the whole town. You know what these people did on this reserve? They are still drinking bottled water. Okay, they go on their ban or whatever the hell you call it on where they get supplies, and they get pallets and pallets and pallets of bottled water. When they have one of the most expensive technology in reverse osmosis to clean their water, they want to waste more taxpayers' money to get bottled water delivered at their places. I tested their water. Yeah, it's pretty clean, if you ask me. But again, either they don't trust the government, they don't trust their ban, but they do have a $1.5 million reverse osmosis system. And this is what I'm saying. So the whole thing with the whole narrative about the natives don't have drinking water, well, they have the money. Unfortunately, they have corrupted chiefs that need to be dealt with that take the money. Because if you go to every reserve throughout Canada, you go look at the chiefs' homes and why they have brand new trucks and four-wheelers and side-by-sides and all that. And you ask yourself, how is that even possible? All right. But they want to be treated the same. Well, if it was me, guys, the natives would get absolutely nothing, not a damn thing. If you want to be treated like Canadians, anytime you live on your reserve, you don't get any subsidies. You don't get anything except welfare like the other Canadian people do. But that's it. That's all. Your band doesn't get any money because this land is our land. This land is your land. At the end of the day, when the British defeated tribes back in the days, when you get defeated, you lose the land. That's the whole point of having a war. Reason why you have a war is to gain that land, right? Fortunately, you're still crying wolf over a couple hundred years ago, and we're still paying for their for what they lost. All right. So anyway, the whole point of this is we're not immigrants, we're settlers. An immigrant, definition of immigrant, if your parents weren't born here, you're an immigrant even though you were born here. That's what I love about Donald Trump with the whole birthright that he's doing. Just because your parents came here when you were pregnant and you were born in the United States doesn't make you an American citizen. It's the same thing here in Canada. And people are starting to wake up, guys. People are starting to wake up. I think personally it's too late because we don't have a Donald Trump to be deporting these people. But I'll give you an example. Had a little birthday party here Saturday night for my girlfriend's son. One of his dad's wife's sister. She brought up the whole, I'm sick and tired of immigrants. This is a liberal voter. This is a vaccinated person. Literally said, I'm starting to hate these immigrants because what these immigrants are doing, she said, and she was telling this to my girlfriend. I wasn't there because obviously she'd still be here talking to me. So I would teach her more about, immigration and what's the purpose of it. Anyway, she's seen it with her own eyes that these immigrants have bought businesses down here in New Brunswick, in Moncton in particular, and they're getting rid of the white staff and they're hiring their own. She sees it. She's seen it. She doesn't like it. Is she talking about it? Probably not on Facebook. That's why you have guys like me talking about it. But I'll give you a little example. And it's all done by design, guys. It's all done by design. All right? Because here's one. The NBCC, which is the New Brunswick Community College here in Dieppe, should be ashamed of themselves, which I'll be plastering all over my Facebook wall starting tomorrow. I just found out today that the cafeteria, there's a cafeteria in the NBCC, and they have a contract. That contract's with a local Dieppe family that has had that contract for the past 4 years. They also own other businesses at the farmers market for things, for food. They just got outbid and told that their contract's not being renewed because they've given it to Push Start Indians. You heard it right, guys. They lost their contract to Pakis. And I'm going to use the word Pakis. I don't care because I'm not going to even use the word Pakistans. Push Start Indians, camel jockeys, Pakis, whatever people want to call them. They lost that contract because it was underbid from them. Well, this is a cafeteria. I think we all should know when it comes to Pakis and Push Start Indians and Punjabs, with food, we've already seen what they've done to Tim Hortons. We already seen what they did to all the fast food restaurants. And now the NBCC is going to suffer of their food quality because they were underbid. And I would love to know exactly what the government is giving to that school for NBCC, even though it's part government, of what they're given to bring those Pakis in to take over that contract. It's disgusting. And I hope these people, which I didn't talk to them, it's one of their workers that told me that today, which was, I'm going to keep that confidential. But these people cannot go and say anything, guys. You know why they can't? Because obviously if they go out and promote this and say this, is they got other businesses throughout the markets that are going to be deemed racist. And of course, most of these markets are visited every weekend by, you guys guessed it, elbows up people. These kind of people right here. These kind of retards right here. These are the retards that are doing a Zoom this week. And this is not 2021, guys, or 2022. This is this week. And these are the people cheering on the hiking and camping bans in Nova Scotia. Okay? These people, this is the reason why I promote the depopulation agenda. I really don't care if that sounds cruel. I really don't, because this is the Archie Bunker coming out of me. I really don't care. I support the depopulation agenda. I'm sorry to say I love it. It's just I would have came a different way on how the depopulation, but they're doing a good job of it as we speak. Hopefully those people's vaccinations work sooner than later, and soon before the next election, the Liberal voters will be no longer with us because obviously they died of natural causes. All right, so let's just pray for that because it's going to happen. And speaking about vaccinations, it actually slides into this mRNA vaccine with R.F. Kennedy Jr. Check this out for the people that are vaccinated. The good ones and then the bad ones are mixed with the idiots, the idiot ones, because I do have people that are vaccinated that finally woken up. So this doesn't pertain to you guys.
The mRNA vaccines, from COVID, don't work against upper respiratory infections. They don't work very well, let me put it that way. There are two problems with them. One is they target a single protein, which drives what's called antigenic shift. If it drives the virus to mutate, and it actually can prolong the pandemic. And we saw that during COVID. People took shots, mRNA shots for the original COVID variant, and immediately mutated into the Omicron virus, to which the vaccine was ineffective. And that's what it does. And the other issue is that the way that it distributes in the body, the way that it migrates in the body, there's no control over it and no predictability. So it goes to every organ. It turns your body into an antigen factory where you're manufacturing antigens. And different people need different loads of antigens. And in a regular traditional vaccine, the antigen content is very carefully controlled for that reason, because you can injure people. And we've seen now these epidemics of myocarditis and pericarditis, particularly in kids. And for upper respiratory, for some illnesses, mRNA vaccines may be very useful, and and that would include cancers. But for upper respiratory infections, we canceled 22 trials for upper respiratory infections.
So as he says, upper respiratory systems, obviously, see you later, alligator. But we also got to keep in mind, guys, RFK is not going to come out. He can't come out, especially now that he's the head of the health department. He's not going to come out and say what we want him to say about, oh, by the way, the people that taken those jabs are done. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the day that people find out that they planned that to depopulate the earth by, many things, especially with the jabs, is civil war. I mean, you don't even understand the civil war that will break out. We'll never get back. I mean, the country would be put on fire. Have you ever watched the movie Civil War that was in the theaters? I think it's out now on Prime Video. Take a watch of that video, because that's exactly what would happen. Obviously, if people ever knew that they did this on purpose, you understand? So obviously, he's going to go around the fact of not telling the truth when it comes to the mRNA. He's going to go around it, but he ain't going to actually come out and tell the truth. He can't now. It's too late, right? It's too late. He knows the consequences. They were in their think tanks, and they know what would happen. All right. Here's another one by RFK. Announces that HHS will now totally ban both Medicaid and Medicare funds from going to any institutions that conduct transgender operations for minors. It's ending the trans ideology. It will be no longer subsidized. Child mutilation will stop. So again, that evilness of the whole trans movement that started with Obama, the monkey himself, will be totally collapsed. Give it another 2 years, we're gonna be back to the old. If they're trying to force trans down our throat, you're gonna see a few trans getting knocked out on the middle of the street. Just to let you know. Speaking of trans, take a look at these people. The breaking news: ABC to cancel The View to appease Donald Trump, says former co-host Rosie O'Donnell. That's right, guys. These twats will no longer be airing anytime soon. Why they're still doing their bits and pieces as we speak now, I will never know. Because if I was Donald Trump, I would have canceled that like yesterday. All right, still there, but again, there's nothing more than a turnoff than a liberal or Democrat woman. I don't care if you look like Britney Spears when she was 16 years old in her girls' school uniform. You tell me you're a liberal voter. To me, you're a 400-pound trans. That's, when I see Jan Arden, for example, everyone that went to that Jan Arden concert, liberal, just totally 100% liberal voters. All right, female Karens. You want to turn off an alpha male like myself? Tell me you vote liberal and you like Jan Arden, especially that speech she made about separating from Alberta to the United States. Anyway, we won't go in there. And speaking of tards and retards and wolf in sheep clothing, check out these guys. The two conservatives that refused to help Pierre Poilievre during the elections were recently spotted at a private liberal barbecue party. That's right, you see them. Doug Ford, there's that beep, 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 beep. And Tim Houston, the other Nova Scotia, beep, 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 way there on top. And yes, you can see Chrystia Freeland right there, guys. All these liberal MPs. You see Dominic LeBlanc behind Ford. That's right. You've seen it. So they're all in the same party, guys. There's no way to get out of it. There's no way to vote yourself out of it until Trump takes over, which he eventually will with the 51st state. He's still going to clean house is what he's doing, which I've told people he's going to clean house, and he's doing a good job. Then you got this prick. Doug Ford just announced that he's given around 100,000 asylum seekers in Ontario work permits. Well, that didn't last too long. This is an old post, a couple weeks maybe. There was a lot of feedback that came to that. So what Dougie Ford is going to do, he thought that was going to bring up his numbers and his popularity. That didn't happen. What it did is cause a lot of people to complain. So he took it out. He revamped what he said, right? But we all know, Dougie, that's what you're doing. If I ever seen him on the street, he's definitely going to get a piece of my mind. And if he ever came back to say something or tried to say something different or even got into my face, well, the good old knee to the, the scrotum area usually puts the biggest persons down. It wouldn't be the first, and I'll take the assault charge on Doug Ford any day when it comes to stuff like that, if he's still around and people in Ontario, which they call, don't get to him first. I don't need to look around for Doug Ford. Obviously, diabetes, heart disease, cancer is just around the corner. A stroke, heart attack, just around the corner for that person. If you don't believe me, look at his face, how red it is. That's high blood pressure. Doug Ford is next to be in the grave. So there'll be another one bites the dust. And speaking about another one bites the dust, check this one out. Breaking news, Norway's 54-year-old COVID vaccine chief, Stuart Burke, dies suddenly. The pediatrician led the nation's study on the, basically Norway. He's the one that forced the people to get the jabs. Again, another one bites the dust. Wherever his grave is, people, tombstones, piss on it. Bring your dogs, let them release some tension on his gravestone, because that's exactly what needs to be done all over his gravestone. Please do it. You'll make a lot of people happy. You got to love Donald Trump, man. I mean, I think the rest, speaking of can't vote your way out of it, check this one out, guys. That's right. If you know Ben Mulroney, Brian Mulroney's son, I always knew he was a little bit, soft on the loafers. But look at the top left-hand picture, guys. He's got those panda eyes. So if you know, you know, right? And of course, he's hanging out here with Justin Trudeau. So if you know, you know. Let's just keep it to that. And if anyone doesn't know what the panda eyes mean, adrenochrome, what they do to babies when they take their blood away from them. Obviously, that's, you don't dress yourself up as a panda. Brian Mulroney's son, all right? I always knew something was wrong with him. So let's get into the Trump thing, guys. Let's check this out. I'll play a video, and then we'll get to some things what Trump is doing. Here's a video that Trump is cleaning Washington, D.C., and I'm going to talk about it in a second.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Great speech, Mr. Trump, but I think there's a little bit more what you're doing in Washington, D.C. to bring 5,000 National Guard. So obviously we know cleaning the swamp. We know there's been black ops operations, military that have been doing a lot of things behind the scenes. I think this is the think tank getting together and say, okay, it's time to start draining the swamp right to the bottom. So they're going to disguise this as cleaning out Washington, D.C. from, in case you guys didn't know, there is apparently, right here, guys, Washington shots are ringing out in Washington, D.C.'s Navy Yard less than 1 mile from the Capitol building. Over 100 black teens, you heard it, guys, black teens have taken over the park, terrorizing the neighborhood. FBI, DHS are responding now. Take over DC, President Trump. That's right, guys, black teens. God, listen, I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say this twice, I'm going to say this 1,000 times. You got your good blacks, you got your bad blacks. The majority of blacks are not so good. All right? You got your hood blacks and you got your blacks. These blacks are hood blacks. You know, the famous N word. I won't say because I'll be probably reported and taken down, but you know what I'm saying. People never understand the word blacks and hoodlum blacks, which starts with the N word. There's a difference. All right? The hoodlum blacks, you know, the N word with gers at the end, that's not a race. All right? That's what you guys been programmed over the years. That's a culture. Black people are good. I don't mind black people at all. My son's named after my black friend. The other is not a race, it's a culture. Those are the people, the thefts, the stealing, that you're seeing all kinds of videos right now that hate the white people, the ghettos, the welfare systems, the overcrowded prison systems, the assaults, the shootings. One thing that Charlie Kirk mentioned the other day was pretty good, obviously, to a black female that was yelling and screaming about blacks being deprived and stuff like that, and about the police, defund the police. And he said, do you know what the number one killer of the black race is? The black population, the number one killer. She didn't even know the answer to that. What kills the black people? Not a virus, not the police, not cancer. It's the black people themselves. That's right. 92% of all black deaths, shot, beaten up, are caused by other black people. All right? I already knew that. I already knew that a long time ago. But I can't believe this person was in university and she didn't even know that, which again goes to show you that university is a waste of time and money, thanks to Charlie Kirk exposing that to people. But that's a complete truth. All right? Even black people hate the ghetto blacks. I see it all the time. I love these people. They actually hate their own kind, even though it's not their kind. It's the hoodlum ones. So that's my take on that one. Don't care about those ghetto blacks, those N-gers. I like black people. My son's named after my black friend that passed away. So people always misinterpret it maybe by calling me racist in the past. Not racist. I'm a realist. And when you realize that your town or your city is filled with blacks or filled with these hoodlum blacks, that's when you know poop is going to hit the fan, and you can guarantee the crime rate, the murders, drugs, the homelessness, the welfare system, the schooling system is a capital F-U-C-K. I will be glad when my son graduates, because in another 5 to 10 years, Moncton, that brought in all these Africans, is going to be screwed, blued, and tattooed even worse than most of the areas in downtown Toronto, which used to be good areas like Jane and Finch. Forget about that. Scarborough, forget about that. Down in Regent Park, where I used to live as a kid, forget about that. It's bad, and it's going to get worse in New Brunswick because you don't really see too many Africans that I know of, that I haven't seen, because they're being invaded by Pakistans, is in Alberta and places like that. They're shipping them all to Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, Newfoundland, and they're doing that for a purpose. And that purpose is to keep the Liberal government in power in those four. And, of course, to destabilize our economy down here, because that's exactly what they're doing. Don't care what anybody says. Bring out the best debater from any kind of university to tell me diversity is a strength. I guarantee you guys are going to stop going to his class when I make him suck his thumb and look stupid. All right, speaking of Donald Trump and doing other things, obviously he got rid of this trans. Remember this one? Admiral, and I don't even want to use the word admiral. Rachel Levine has lost the battle in the war. The Supreme Court refused to hear her case against the government and what she claims discrimination based on sexual orientation, a violation of her civil rights. The court wrote, the law in military matters comes from the commander-in-chief, not Congress. The president can discharge the admiral at his pleasure and without reason. And thus the saga of the DEI Admiral Ans Levine will be administratively discharged at the end of the week. That's right. Remember that thing, guys, in the United States that was considered an admiral? That was a guy portraying as a girl. Anyway, that is no longer in the Army, Navy, whatever it was. And we'll just leave it to that. What else did Donald Trump do? Oh, yeah. Donald Trump, again, his administrator, Lee Zeldin, announces the EPA will now compile and release everything they know about the geoengineering and the contrails. To anyone who's ever looked up in the sky and seen streaks and asked, what the heck is going on? Or seen headlines about private actors and even governments looking to blot out the sun in the name of stopping global warming, we've endeavored to answer all your questions. Again, guys, drip, drip, drip. Like I've been telling you guys, drip, 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 drop, flush. All right. Obviously, they can't come out and literally say, oh, by the way, we've been filling the air up with aluminum, barium, and other kinds of harmful chemicals. So that will numb you down, affect your pineal gland, and cause all kinds of. Oh, that's another thing I want to say. Someone sent me a video today, which was pretty funny. It's with Nino Rodriguez, podcaster. And he said, I hate to say this, guys, but I have to report this. Did you know that the shots have some kind of protein in it that works with the 5G technology that causes blood clots and can do a lot of major things to you because of the 5G technology? Well, Nino, I've said this 4 years ago. Glad you finally caught up. Said this 4 years ago. Again, why I don't have the millions of people that follow me, I don't know. So let me break it down to you, Nino Rodriguez. I'll say this again for the people that didn't know. One is when all these COVID shots had graphene oxide. Graphene oxide is like aluminum. What happens is this graphene oxide gets into the body, causes spike proteins. What happens also is when you put 5G towers that sends out certain frequencies to the air, those graphene oxide / aluminum become magnetic. And when they become magnetic, as they're flown around your blood system, they attach to each other. When they attach to each other, they literally block your arteries, your veins, causing blood clots, causing heart attacks, causing strokes. It depends how many shots you got. The more shots you got, the more graphene oxide you got. So they can do things like cause cancer, cause dementia, cause many things on certain frequencies in your 5G towers. 5G's got nothing to do with your cell phone, okay? In case you didn't know that, to all the podcasters, I've already reported this back in 2021. For the people that are following me, they'll literally tell you, he's right. He said it a long time ago, and apparently he heard this from Alex Jones. So I just want to tell you, I actually reported this before Alex Jones. That's pretty sad. But Alex got his hands full on a lot of things, so I'm not going to bust his chops. I will bust Nino's chops, but I won't bust Alex Jones' chops. I reported this already, guys, 4 years ago. Glad you came to the party, but a little bit too late. Here's another one with Donald Trump. Breaking news, victory. The judge greenlights President Trump ripping apart the U.S. aid. The lawsuits have been dismissed. The left keep losing in court. Full steam ahead. Guys, I love it when the judges think they can stop, Trump from doing anything, because all that does in the meantime is exposes the judges. That's all it does. All right. This one was pretty funny too. The Democrats, Trump is on the Epstein list. That's why he won't release it. Trump goes, okay, release it. So a judge that was appointed by Obama says, no, actually, I decided that it's illegal. I can't release it. I mean, you just can't get any dumber than that, man. I love it. I really do love it. And speaking of Donald Trump, like I've said, reported this, Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country, and he's under indictment for pushing drugs into the United States. Remember I told you guys that Venezuela, which was the richest country in the entire, the third richest country in the entire world in the beginning of the 2000s, went from one of the richest, free Medicare, free school, free everything you can imagine, then went to a complete crap hole ever since they brought in that liberal piece of Maduro, who literally robbed the whole country. The United States is going to clean house when it comes to that. I've said that a couple of years ago, that the United States were going to clean house. Maduro, I'd be looking over my back if they already haven't taken you out. And I think that will be it, guys. I think that was it. And speaking of Donald Trump, look what's happening in England with Donald Trump.
We love Trump! Mr. President, if you are seeing this, just know that the great deplorables of the United Kingdom love you, we are with you, we stand with you, and we want you to succeed. Forget about the people in London, forget about the establishment, forget about the detractors in the fake news media. The real people out there in the United Kingdom, we love you, Mr. President!
I'm going to keep that video because, I mean, that brings tears to my eyes. I mean, it's just amazing. And in case you guys didn't know, Donald Trump is getting Putin and Zelensky, the fake Zelensky, to be put in a room together, obviously, to stop this war, which we all know the war has already been stopped a long time ago, but it's got to play out like a movie, you know. So just a lot of things happening. August has been a very hot month. Figuratively, well, literally, actually, it's been a hot month. It's actually been the hottest month in my very young years of being 29 years old, that I've never seen this much heat. They're playing around with the temperature to try to blame climate change, but you know what? I love the sun. The sun does a body good. Just keep that in mind. Sun does a body good. The only thing is it affects our crops. Could they be doing this to affect our crops, guys? Who knows what they're doing, but evilness is surrounding us everywhere we go. And but God's in charge, just to let you know. And that will be the end of this segment, I guess. This podcast. Again, I'll be live Thursday when I'm finally out of my Facebook, my fake book. I like to call it something else. Ban, and I'll be doing a quick live here and there, guys, pretty much every second day. Because obviously, when you do lives on Facebook, it actually gets more attention. The problem is I can't share videos, but I can share to you guys my common sense, which I am the only one, the only podcaster with common sense. Trust me, I've watched a lot of podcasters. Common sense is out the window when it comes to most of them. Anyway, guys, I love you all. And like Don Cherry says, you people hold that line. Good times are coming. They're already kind of here, but Canada's got to feel the pain for a bit to drain out these lib and vax-tards. And let's hope their vaccines work faster, like sooner than later. I don't feel sorry for that, guys. It's just the truth. And there's no filters in my podcast. Anyway, I love you guys all. We'll see you guys back next Monday night live to get back to Freedom Family together so I can see comments and do all that good stuff with you guys. But I'll throw out some lives here and there. I'll be gone to Toronto this weekend with my son and my girlfriend to watch the Blue Jay games, go to the CN Tower, all that good stuff. So I don't know, for the people that live in Toronto, you want to come and meet and greet me, this is the time. I'll let everybody know where I'm going to be if you guys want to hang out, because it's rare that I go to Toronto, Little India. But hey, if you guys want to meet up together, and I'll tell you guys where I am, and it'll be nice to meet our Toronto family and go from there. Anyway, I love you guys all. Take care, and we'll see you guys back very soon. Here's a little outro video for Donald Trump. Peace.
know what this represents?
What all is true?
Remember, it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We
the
have the
president?
world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.